days, everybody goes for Europe. You know, I think even if Prince Dracula or Jack the Ripper were alive, they would go for Europe. I'm less sure about Jack the Ripper, he was a Brit, by the way. But so just remember the previous government in Georgia under Mr. Gordadze, they were also for Europe. Then we had a very, you know, almost non-existent state with corrupt bureaucrats involved in many embezzlement. Some of them were ethnic nationalists, but they were in favor of Europe. In many surrounding countries of Georgia, even the most undemocratic ones, Europe is still a positive preference. Our opponents are also in favor of Europe here in this country. They do rallies sometimes with European flags, and they also say that they are for Europe. But I cannot believe in sincerity or seriousness of being pro-European without serious willingness for social transformation. For social transformation, European transformation of Georgian society. That's why the proclaimed goal is one thing, and when it's claimed by people who in their everyday behavior or in their ideas contradict the very idea of Europeanness, it cannot be taken seriously. You cannot say on one side that you are for European Georgia or for a European country and continue to neglect the basic rights of your citizens, to steal money from the state budget, to take bribes from your citizens, and to play this fool's game. You know, if you Europeans do not give us that, we go to Russia, or play Europe against Russia and Russia against Europe. This is the choice of post-Soviet leadership. This is the way how these post-Soviet people govern their countries. This is not our choice. You cannot say on one side that you are for European Georgia and make xenophobic statements, racist statements, believe that LGBT people have no right to live among us and in our society. And this is maybe the least aggressive thing I've heard in recent days from the people who oppose this community in this country. Without social transformation, deep social transformation, all these booming statements in favor of Europe are empty words, in best case, and manipulation in the worst case. My personal choice, the choice I made 1.5 years ago to join this government, was determined by the belief that this team wants profound social transformation of this country and to make Georgia really European. And I'm pleased to say today that I didn't make a wrong choice and I didn't make a mistake. Despite all difficulties, despite all resistance, despite all problems. This is the first government in recent history of Georgia which is not pro-European only by its general statements, but its deeds and profound conviction. And I don't want it to be the last one. Why social transformation is so important? There is not a single society without social change or social transformation. Even the most closed societies are subjected to social change or social transformation. We saw former dictatorships in Arab world, Egypt, Libya. Everybody thought that these regimes were very stable, but when they were confronted to radical social transformation, they failed. Something very important and interesting is happening in Iran since, let's say, 10 years, in Russia since, let's say, 1 or 2 years, and even in North Korea, which is the maybe most closed society in the world, there's some social change. We saw recently their new president in zoo, he was caressing a baby bear. That's quite new. I'm sure his father or his grandfather was not doing that. But the social transformation is not a linear process. There is no mythical sense of history. and there is no irreversible move towards progress. History knows reversals, and social change can go in both directions. One is extremism, conservatism in a negative term of this, the sense of this term, religious backwardness, or there is another sense, liberalism, openness, tolerance, etc. And this is an everyday fight, and we're in this fight in this country today. So the true Europeanization of this country is the victory of the second option, societal victory of the second option. So what is Europe? Besides a continent, even a subcontinent, or a peninsula of an Asian continent, as one famous writer said in the beginning of the 20th century, Europe is a civilization. This is European civilization, which is something more than institutions or regulations. What is most important is the birth or the emergence of what one German historian called European habitus. This is more than culture. This is the whole set of social behaviors, ideas, bodily techniques, and even sexual behavior. This is this is a process. Civilization is a process. This is a difficult progress of self-restraint, tolerance, and mutual acceptance. And this is something against radicalism and violence. There were serious setbacks in Europe in this sense also. And Europe has been maybe the most violent continent in recent history, in 20th century history. 2 world wars, Shoah took place in Europe. But the tragic awakening since this period, this tragic period, shaped the European Union and shaped modern European policies. Europeanization has civilizational impact on our society. And what we try to do, of course, and I would like very much to remain very modest, is to try to adopt sometimes unpopular reforms, social reforms, to make our society more prepared to join this family of European people. Affirmative action on minorities, law on religious organizations are the laws, those laws that I'm the most proud in for the last period of our recent history. So what I want to say at the end is that without profound modification of our society, all institutional changes will stay without any effect. Now, 2 major policies of our government when we talk about European integration are the negotiations on visa-free and on deepened comprehensive free trade agreement. These 2 agreements, when it will become reality, will have a very strong impact on our society. It will make irreversible changes, and I hope that very much irreversible changes on our society. And it will crush, or it will contribute to crush the ethnic nationalism and religious intolerance in our society. It will give a serious blow to these two tendencies that still exist in our country. And last thing, the very last thing, our government tries and made some success in shaping and making of pluralistic elites in this country. When I'm talking about pluralistic elites, I'm not only talking about social origins, and they are quite diverse, but also geographical origins of our elites. I have people from monarchy here sitting, but they can't imagine that under Soviet Union, especially in last years of the Soviet Union, our country, the elite of our country was more homogeneous than the elite of a centuries-old monarchy like the UK. And the first years of our independence, since the end of the Soviet Union, it was the same. The post-Soviet elite was very uniform, without people from the same social origin, same generation, sometimes coming from same schools, 1 or 2 schools, same streets of this town. In 2003, 2004, we had 2 choices. first choice is to remain elitist, and you cannot remain elitist for long. You cannot be together very democratic and elitist, or you have to defend against people having very strong repression, or you will have very strong contestation. You will have a very strong contestation on a social basis, like communism, like the South American countries in the 70s or 80s, or to adopt a European model which is based on the integration of the less educated, of the less powerful, of the less wealthy people. So we reduced poverty in this country in 10 years, in 9 years, from 50% to 25%. It's still a huge figure. In most of developed European countries, this figure goes from 10 to 15%. But this is our last, maybe very strong challenge, to integrate these people, to show them they are not good just to be considered as a flock, or to be nurtured by extremist ideologies or to be bought by very unsophisticated attempts and by to be bribed in a very unsophisticated manner.